bring it to us all. First, we want to thank the Central Texas Mycological Society. Y'all should join that group if you're really interested in taking off with these and growing them, because they've got videos they've prepared and everything else. So if you leave here and you say, what did she say? Spend $20, $30, join these kids, because they came up with this program, they've launched it, and they do deserve quite a bit of credit for it. They get part of every bit of the money we make on this, okay? Central Texas turns out to be a very big mushroom growing area. All these warehouses you see, quite a bit of them are full of mushrooms, okay? And in the industry, it's cost prohibitive to take more than one, maybe two cuts, because it goes down incredibly.
How do you spell mycological? Is it M-Y-C?
Pardon me?
Mycological, M-Y-C-O.
Okay, we're going to take questions at the end, guys, okay? Anyway, you can buy bags like this for your own at $28 each, okay? They take these bags, they're in production, they cut 1 or 2 times, they put them in the waste stream. Well, Central Texas is so green that with the Central Texas Mycological Association and the mushroom growers, they have worked with the industrial waste program to get green credits for every one of these they keep out of the industrial waste stream, guys. So it's participating in recycling like no other way. So we're helping them keep stuff out of the recycling program. They get green credits. We get soil and mushrooms. Win-win all the way. Okay. The blocks are mycelium, which is the hyphae, the growthing of the mushrooms. The ones that the mushroom farms that we're working with grow blue oysters, yellow oysters, green oysters, trumpet oysters, shiitakes. So those are all the different blocks you can get over here in the program as you participate, and ones that you can put into your soil, and we'll show you demonstrations or give little demonstrations to build soil and maybe get a flush or two of growth. My idea, though, is the soils in Bastrop County, we've been out here over 20 years landscaping and gardening. It's like a lawn dart in one yard. You can find different soils. So many of them are sandy with no water holding capacity. So many of them are rocks with no soil. So here is a way that we can take leaves, softwood chips, hardwood chips, and cardboard that we get from Amazon and create a food product and soil. So again, you'll hear me say win-win a few times because I'm just that jazzed about the program. First, a little bit about mushrooms. They like it damp, they like it moist, they like it cool. So fall and spring is going to be your ideal time to do this. You may not, in your mushrooms, when you get them established, you may not see anything through summer. It'll rain in October and you may see a flush again. The mycelium will just go dormant for you. The oysters are such good competitors that you don't have to worry about them competing with the fellow mushrooms that we have out in the county in our soils. They're going to do a better job of it. They like a lot of straw too, okay? These mushrooms are all saprophytes, meaning they're wood eaters. So they want wood, wood chips, straw, cellulose, cardboard, paper. If you're going to use newspaper, we like to see it soy ink, something like the American Statesman, not the slick printed ink. If you're going to use your cardboard, pull your tape off. Use one that's printed and labeled as least as possible. Some places tout that they're an organic cardboard. That can't happen, but at least maybe they're not as noxious as the others. Still, I'm not a big fan of cardboard in the garden, but in pathways all day long, and in creating a lasagna bed, which we'll explain later, to begin a bed, yes. Okay, again, garden paths with your cardboard, a new bed, existing beds, inoculate fallen logs. The idea is to be in a moist spot. Don't pick like the higher spot that's dry. Pick the low spot that's got some moist soil maybe all year long. Or if you're like in our garden, everything, all of our drip lines drain off one end. So that one end is always wet. You always wonder what to do with them. Well, guess what? It's mushrooms. One bag does a 16 square foot area, so they get quite a bit of coverage, and that's if you're taking them. Yesterday we took some spent spawn and crushed it up and put it all over the field with our dried molasses and turned it all in to feed the bacteria and the fungi in that soil, because we're straight organic, don't use anything out there, and we get production. Okay, the straw, more than hay. Hay is grass, hay has flowers in it, straw is more cellulose. So I'm thinking, guys, I don't see why we can't use okra straw, all kinds of vegetable leftovers, leavings, if you will. You know, sure, not necessarily the whole cane, but why can't you? It's definitely cellulose. So I just see so much potential at the edge of your garden or in piles of your vegetable debris when you clean your field off or your spot. You want it close to moisture, close to water or water flow. If you're going for a second mushroom or trying to create a mushroom bed for yourself and your family. Otherwise, just throw it in the soil and let it become part of the soil biome, if you will. It will increase the water holding capacity of your soil, increase the health of your soil, increase the tilth of your soil. So either way, whether you're wanting purposely to get yourself a flush of mushrooms or to just break them up. Now, to get the flush of mushrooms, there's a few ways you can go about it. You can inoculate hay bale, okay? You take this hay bale, soak it a day or two, and then take a tool like this and dig some holes in. I always like diamonds or zigzags myself. And then put the spawn in there. Okay, oysters, you see how this oyster is growing. It grows out. Okay? So it will fill this up. You're going to keep this moist and they will grow out. Now, they recommend putting them in. I'm an experimenter. I'd probably put one or two on the side as well, just to see, you know. But you'd want to keep the integrity of the bale, because you want the integrity of the bale to be able to get full of mycelium and end up looking like this, or close to this. Because when you see this white, sorry, ladies, can't see. When you see this white, now here's another. This is all, the interior is usually oats or grain, sawdust, that sort of thing. It's inoculated. It grows one flush. Some small growers might take two flush. The big ones take one chunk, okay? So it's still alive, very much alive. So you can either take it and grow yourself some mushrooms by taking chunks of this and inoculating this, okay? Keeping this moist, checking on it daily, or twice a day even. This method, in my opinion, would be the hardest to do in Central Texas, because we're dry one day and we're windy and it'll dry out on you. So unless you're almost like in an area that you know is moist soil that's going to keep wicking into your straw, this one's going to be your harder one to accomplish. The one that we like the best and that we've done, there are two different ways. It's a sheet cardboard, which I can take you out and show a demonstration later, but I'm just going to explain right now. And it's sheet cardboard and kind of a lasagna gardening style, if you will. So you wet your sheet cardboard however much. Again, it can do a 1/16 square foot area. So if you take, I like to start my beds off in the old square foot garden 4x4s, right? Okay? So you take your 4 foot moist cardboard, 3 inches of spawn, moist hay, moist cardboard, 3 inches of spawn, moist hay, up to 6 inches, okay? Now if you're in fall and winter and when we're cool, if we're getting good rain, you don't have to cover it, or cover it with something that's going to bank the heat. A frost cloth, I guess you could do plastic in the cold season, but if plastic touches any living thing, it turns it black. So as soon as you see light in your bed, you want to get that plastic off of it. But it would certainly help you bank heat, because the mushrooms are going to want some warmth to get that mycelium and that fungi moving and growing. Okay? So you'll have that area, and you'll see mushrooms pop up in it in about 4 to 6 weeks. And you may get 1 or 2 cuts. Now the beauty of doing it that way is you've got yourself a little, kind of like a seed bank. I guess it's a fungi bank. Because now you can cut blocks of this off and go do other projects, right? Because you've got a nice 6-inch block of mycelium to work with. Or you can come back over here, because we're now a drop spot for the Mycology Society. So we are hopefully going to continue to be able to put these out at least through the spring. Summertime, who wants to play in mushrooms? The mushrooms don't even want to play, right? Okay, so another way that we did, the way we're going to demonstrate is in our elderberry bed. Elderberries like water. They like more water than we generally get in Central Texas. I forget them because everything else I grow is xeric and dry, and then there's my elderberries. So we have got cardboard and straw out by our elderberries to create this so that we can get more soil moisture, more fluff into that elderberry soil, so that they can have more mycelium to work with, so that they won't crash as often, and hopefully have a better healthy soil environment. And then what we did with the 50 we got for Christmas, we did the trench method, which is just a fascinating method, and I think that is the best method for the garden anyway, I find. We took our low spot, like I said, where our drip lines empty, always moist, in the shade of the trees, so really no crops enjoyed it there, so it was in shade by noon. And we trenched, and we buried the blocks. We buried them as deep, you dig a trench as deep as they are, maybe an inch deeper. Then you put your blocks in, and then you cover them with maybe an inch of soil, and then we used cedar elm leaves and straw. Now we are in a unique area in that all these mushrooms love cedar elm and oak, okay? They're not fond of pine and juniper. So don't try these experiments with pine and juniper sawdust and saw shavings. Do it with your oaks and your cedar elms. This side of the county is loaded with cedar elms, okay? So we have already gotten flushes of, that's why I decided to do the program, flushes of the blue mushrooms. That's what you saw posted in the announcement on this, is something that we got off of the ground out there. We've gotten lion's mane. We've gotten these trumpets now as our last batch. So another way in your garden, if you don't have the aversion to cardboard, we do, is you can use in your furrows, not in the mounds, but in the furrows, you can sheet in your cardboard and then mix your spawn with leaves, or actually, excuse me, moist wood shavings, okay? And put that in your furrow, another layer of cardboard, another layer of moist wood shavings with spawn, up to 6 inches. And you can create into your furrow that which will become soil later, okay? I just don't like using cardboard. We are totally organic cardboard, and cardboard just doesn't cut it for me. But it does for a lot of part-time gardeners, amateur gardeners, home gardeners, you know. And on the pathways, boy, I love it. To me, that's the proof is in the pudding. You put it down on a pathway and nothing grows for 2 or 3 years. Well, gee, I wonder why, because all the poison's leaching out into the ground and nothing's going to grow there. Anyway, off that tirade, and you've got wood on the side of your pathway. A lot of us do, parking path, right? These mushrooms, you can inoculate some spawn by that wood, and they'll grow out of that wood. And what a way to dazzle your guests and your families. Like, look, look, we're going to eat that tonight, and take it in and stir fry it. You know, so then this is really the far out ostentatious. If you can go into your green belts, I think that's a beautiful way. The Mycology Central Texas Mycological Society is who y'all want to join. what they have done in the green belts of Austin. Softwood is oysters' favorite glaze, so they're inoculating ligustrums fall, all kinds of tree fall. I think that's beautiful. We have all this dead wood in Bastrop County from these fires and everything else. Why not seed balls for wildflowers? How about some mushroom spawn for dead wood? You know, I just think it's a really cool, one more area you can do it, and if not, okay, we can't spawn the world, but you can certainly do your own property and take care of your own dead wood, grow it out of your pathways. And then we went to an event called Mush Love on Valentine's Day. And out of laundry bags with the holes, milk cartons with the holes, and buckets that they drilled holes in, they took straw with moist straw soaked at least 2 hours, a layer of spawn, straw, spawn, till it's tight. And in 4 to 6 weeks, they will have mushrooms growing out of the laundry bag, out of the milk carton, and out of the buckets. Now, that's the way for the kid in the apartment, the city kid that doesn't have 5 acres to play on and real dirt to get under their nails. Okay? It can still be done. I plan on setting up some of my friends that are elderly that don't necessarily want to go play in the mushrooms in the dirt, but they love mushrooms, so I'm going to do them a couple of buckets, because they can just clean it right off the bucket nice and clean. And then they can throw it in their garden somewhere where they don't have to do the whole thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the more light mushrooms get, the higher their D3. So the mushrooms that are being grown in the dark are real good for us, but as your mushrooms begin to color up in the sun, don't fret. That's creating more vitamin D3, which is one of the excellent benefits of the mushrooms. D3, selenium, all other good things. Softwood chips, meaning ash, hackberry, ligustrum, most of what I call trash trees. Hardwood trees are oaks and cedar elms. Non-desirables in this instance are your pines and your cedars because they have a compound, an growth inhibitor, not anti-inhibitor. They're very viable. The spawn is viable to fertilizers. It helps build your sustainable soil, helps build soil tilth, helps build soil water. Now, let's see, buried blocks. I saw a video from Marisol Mushrooms, who's a local provider, sells down in Eden East, okay? She's growing them, and she showed a video of using the spawn as ring around fruit trees, okay? She's just breaking the spawn up and putting it around her fruit trees, and she's getting a mushroom flusher too. Now, again, that's not purposefully going for mushrooms. That's like, look at this, we're doing, and accidentally maybe, something like this is purposefully pursuing your mushrooms. I think on the mushroom trees, the fruit trees, you're giving the mycelium to your fruit tree and getting maybe 1 or 2 rings, cuts off of it, but won't be as prolific as if you do it with intention. But it's still a really cool passive way to do it. I mean, we're doing it actively and passively all over the place. Another thing we can get at this farm are shiitakes. Shiitakes grow in wood, and so we just put some of the wood chips, the wood around, and they're resprouting on us for us as well. So it's just passive and active depending upon where you want to go. Are you purposefully growing your soil, or are you wanting to try to see if you can't get a mushrooms growth started for your family? I think if you want the mushroom growth, you're going to go with the mushroom bed. A 4x4 or maybe even larger if you use a lot of mushrooms, and keep it moist and watch it and keep it a season or 2. Otherwise, when you're doing the hay bale, when it dries out, put it in the compost. When you're doing your garden soil, the purpose is right there to create your garden soil. Okay. Well, now I think we should walk around and see what we've done. You want to do that? Any questions? How about questions first before we break up? Yes, ma'am.
Is there any pro or con to putting different varieties, say, in one bale?
I would stick to all oysters.
they're not friendly with each other. In other words,
Well, oysters are better competitors. It's like putting a thoroughbred next to an old nag. The better competitor is your oyster, so it's going to outcompete whoever's in there with it. So why waste that guy's spawn? Put him somewhere where he can do his own. And also, okay, these oysters grow on the side. These saprophytes grow off the top. Okay, so if you're doing trumpets, the trumpets are definitely you want in the bed because they're going to come up and grow off the top. Your oysters are the ones that do their best, just like this guy. Isn't that? And this just shows you how much you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. This didn't have any mushrooms on it until overnight. Look at this view. Now that's what I call dinner. If y'all know me on our website, we have a site that have a lot of recipes from things I cook right off the farm, and I'm going to start putting in some mushroom recipes too, because all I'm seeing from most people is garlic butter. It's like, no, man, you can do so much with soy and tamari and, ginger and also stir fries and soups and, we did a real good one with kale. Yes, ma'am?
The mycelium, the under the ground stuff.
Yes, ma'am?
And so you put it around the base of the elderberry trees, and you're saying you get a flushing heat. But why wouldn't it just continue as long as the mycelium?
It will, as long as it continues moisture until it runs out of substrate. So you can go back and feed the substrate, meaning you can add more hay, you can add more fallen leaves, more softwood chips, and feed the substrate. Give that mycelium something to eat. But once it's eaten what's there, like this, once it's eaten it, it can't grow anymore. So that's why you would take this, throw it in your compost, throw it around. This would be your inoculate for whatever else you want to do, because now this is going to be full of mycelium, as would your bucket or your other. So, and we'll show, yes ma'am? Well, we'll go out to the elderberry and do a demonstration.
Can we just trim up, like I don't know what you have for areas in the blister, trim those down and that would be considered deadwood, or?
No, deadwood is dead, fallwood, dead fall. So I guess you can trim them up and like next fall,
Right.
they'd be okay, but you want it,
Usually
fall.
tree them up every about 2 years, so.
Oh yeah, you have to, those ligustrum, they grow like weeds, don't they? And, yes ma'am?
How do you inoculate, like you were saying, the logs along your path? Because I have a bunch of dead wood that's laying
What I
down.
would do there is go on either side of the log and just have the, like leaf litter and then spawn, and then leaf litter and spawn, and just let it grow into the log. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am?
so when you're talking about spawn, I was going to ask this earlier, and I know we're going to probably be seeing it on the demo, but when you talk about like her situation, leaflet spawn, and then also in the lasagna, what is spawn considered? How big of a block is it?
3 inches,
3 by 3, kind of like
a
little,
chunk
Okay,
broken up. And another thing.
broken
Thank
up.
you. Yes.
Okay.
Only when you're trenching them do you want to put the whole cube in.
Oh.
Okay, you want to break it up. And if you have mold allergies, this fungi is a mold, guys. So in the mushroom growing operations, the guys are wearing respirators, okay? And we took these in. That's another thing, okay? Thank you. The time to harvest. See how these are folded down? Okay, perfect time to harvest. When they fold up, they release their spores, okay? So, if I was to take this, it's already happened to me, so I can speak from experience. If I was to take this and leave it in my warm house for a day or two, guess what? It's going to spore out all over my kitchen. So these beautiful mushrooms were all ash white. Spores everywhere because they had lifted up their caps and frilled. I don't know if that's the technological word for it, but that's what it looked like. Yeah.
Already spored out?
No, these are not. When their caps are down, they're good. It's the same rule when you're buying mushrooms in your grocery store. if you're spending $10.99, $15.99 a pound for these dudes, you want to make sure you get them when their caps are down. If their caps are up, they've been in there a long time.
So never eat them after the cat's in.
You can still eat them.
Okay.
They're just not worth $10.99.